put out a tweet.
Just so I can.
Oh, we're already live.
Just
Yeah.
so I can not look like an asshole.
Oh God.
I got a Verizon ad. Great.
I didn't get an ad, so I gave Gareth no money just now.
Good.
I'm giving Gareth 5 cents.
It's a weird, you know what? I know we're live, but fuck it, I don't care. It is a weird thing how like subs are like $5, but Twitch takes like at least $2.50 of that. I'm like,
Yep.
I may just set up a Ko-fi and be like, don't give Twitch any money. Fuck this place, shit. Like,
Fucking open a Ko-fi, fucking get a PayPal going or some shit.
there you go.
It's $5 for the person to spend it. You get basically $2.50 of that. For bits though, they spend more than the like. When you get 100 bits, that is $1, but the person is spending more in order to get you that $1. So they're like spending like $1.20 or something.
Yeah.
Twitch sucks. What?
Taxes.
Yeah.
Okay, I just put a tweet out.
Alright.
Okay.
Yep, retweeting that. And giving it a like.
Oh, I don't like. Oh, that's nice.
For that extra bit of kiss ass, you know.
Why?
Oh, dang! I gotta put that up. I apologize.
Put what up?
So on my, and I fucked that up. I'm not sure if you saw that, but for my when someone subs, so someone Dog just sub. Thank you so much. My face pops up and an audio cue of Knuckles going "Why" from SA1 pops up.
Oh my God.
Most of my sound are just out of context clips from SA1 because I have literally every single audio line just on my PC and I do not remember why. But yeah, so it's just
See, a part of me wants to ask why, but then another part of me is like, just don't question.
No,
it. Just
see,
let it
no,
happen.
I hear this. I'm like, no, this makes sense for Gareth.
it's like have you met me before? Like of course I'm gonna have fucking random Sonic quotes for my
It was what, all of,
Twitch.
like, it was like all of what? Twice? Was it? Or 3 times?
I'm
Wait, what?
I think it's been like
not sure.
I think it's been like 3 times that we actually face to face interacted.
Well, yeah, but we've interacted more than that.
It feels like it's only been 3.
Well, shut up.
It's math.
Exactly. We're not that good. Okay. Apparently Eddie is a bit quiet. Let me
Oh, shit.
bust that up.
Ah! Is that good?
Back before we weren't sure what the heck was
Why?
going on and what my schedule was going to be like. We talked once again about doing that a long meetup to just see this movie together.
It's like every time there's a Godzilla movie, I'll just slide into Derek's DMs and be like, "Hey, what are you doing around this time? Like, want to go see a
Hey.
movie?
You busy?
You busy?"
last time it was for what was it? Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
And the other thing we did was watch the first 3 Friday the 13th movies because it was around Halloween.
Yes, because that was a thing I used to
I
do
think
that.
the
Yeah.
idea was to like watch more of them, but I think by the time we got to them, it was so late. Like people were falling asleep and got part 3.
Well, we made
You just got the fucking mask.
we made the mistake of it before we started the movie. Somebody, probably me, was like, "Hey, let's play some Smash," and so we did that for like 2 hours before we even put on a movie. So
Yeah, I like remember me and John we marathoned like the entire Nightmare on Elm Street movies at one point.
I've still only seen the first 3 Friday the 13th movies and Freddy versus Jason.
You know what? Not bad. That's not bad. Especially because part 3 is really damn good.
Yeah.
You watch part 1 and it's like, wow, this is kind of shit.
yeah, it's
It's
like
so-
I genuinely
Nothing's happening.
I genuinely don't really think that Friday the 13th. I mean, like they're dumb fun, but like normally with got like Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street. Normally with like these franchises, the first one is really good. Friday the 13th one is pretty shit. Like it's not really a good movie. It's got like some interesting kills, but as a
Yeah.
movie, it's pretty bad, you know.
Like,
It's
it a
Godzilla versus 3 with the wheelchair. Not Godzilla. No, Friday the 13th 3 that has the wheelchair kill, right?
That's two. That's two.
2. Okay.
Just
I'm like, I love how it's like setting up. It's like, oh, this guy is like getting, doing all right for himself despite being a wheelchair. It's like, all right, cool. Disability working through. He'll probably live. Nope.
no, that's a thing. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, guy in the wheelchair doesn't make it out. Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, the Dream Warriors kid in the wheelchair doesn't make it out. You know, typically speaking, that's not a good sign if you're in a wheelchair in a horror movie, like an 80s horror movie.
This means you can't run.
Horror movies in the 70s and 80s, I think they're very like ableist if you think about it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, I will say the difference in Nightmare on Elm Street, I forget the kid's name, but he fights Freddy in his dream, and he's able to stand up, and he has magic powers.
Yeah, he becomes a wizard. Yeah,
He becomes the wizard master
yeah.
for 4 seconds before Freddy just stabs him. It's like, oh, good job, guy.
I've only seen the first Nightmare, so
so good.
That's
Really
another,
good movie,
another
though.
one. But I think we're as the title says, we're here to talk about one of the best movies ever made, at least in my opinion. Godzilla Minus
pretty
One.
much, yeah.
It's only been out.
fair.
So I saw it on. So a bit of backstory. It was officially released on December 1st of this in America. It came out in the beginning of November in Japan. It was supposed to have IMAX screenings starting December 1st. But then a little person called Beyonce was like, I ain't having none of that shit. And she released, based off Taylor Swift's concert movie, breaking all kinds of fucking box office, records. Beyonce was like, I'm going to do that. And she took the King of the Monsters. Just because it's like the Queen of Music took the King of the Monsters cinema spots. I'm like, that's not fucking okay, Beyonce. But luckily, but like after that, Toho were like, well, I guess we'll put it in IMAX 2 days earlier. So I got this. Actually, I should be thanking Beyonce. I got to see it 2 days early.
Oh, okay. There you go. You did get to see an IMAX. Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay-Z's wife.
Just be super reductive. Yeah, Jay-Z's wife. Thank you, that one from Destiny's Child. Good going. But so I'm just gonna get this out the way because again, before we started streaming, we were talking about how I'm really bad with Japanese names. It's this is written. This guy is a triple threat. He wrote, directed, and did a lot of the visual effects. And I believe Derek, you gave the correct pronunciation is Takashi Yamazuki. Yamazaki. So this guy, as a bit of backstory, this guy has been working with Godzilla for a while. It was on the. I think he may be one of the only people to have an official cameo by Godzilla in an unrelated movie. His movie, I believe it's Always Sunset on 3rd Street 2, opens up with a dream sequence, which is very similar to what we would see in Godzilla Minus One, where like a war-drawn Japan is attacked by a Godzilla. It only happens. It's only on there for a few minutes, and I think that one might be the first time it isn't. Well, the first completely CG Japanese Godzilla shot was in Godzilla 2000 when he's swimming. That was the first time it was completely CG. I think this is the first time.
That was that was definitely the first.
The first Toho because it looks terrible. But this is
The
like
visual effects have come a long way.
even compared to Shin, like my girlfriend doesn't want to watch Shin because she thinks the effects look bad, and I'm like, for a Japanese movie, it's very good.
What?
You have to like, it's very good for a Japanese movie.
Even going past like for a Japanese movie, it looks good. Shin Godzilla looks fucking amazing for a movie.
I tried to explain that they purposely made the CG look like the rubber suit, not try and make it look believable. That way it would, because us nerds, we're used to seeing a rubber suit on screen, so to make the CG look like that, I think was a pretty good workaround of not having the biggest budget.
And even Minus One kind of does the same thing where you watch how he moves and it's very much like, oh, that could be a guy in a rubber suit. Like he's definitely more mobile, but still very much like that has that suit quality to him.
Except for,
definitely.
spoiler alert, when he does the atomic breath, because unless the suit actor broke his neck, no one can charge forward that quickly without breaking something.
It was
We'll,
like a
we'll get to those
fucking
atomic
punch.
breaths because
So-
Jesus
oh my
Christ.
god! But either way, so this guy has a big, and the last thing he worked on, there was a Godzilla 4D ride, which he was the
Yes.
creative director, and you can see a clear design evolution from Always Sunset on Third Street to the Godzilla ride to the Minus One Godzilla. It's like it's almost
Yeah.
like. It's almost like the evolution within Shin Godzilla. You can clearly see how these go together, and I think this version of Godzilla looks so fucking hot. I mean, good.
I want to
The-
fuck
the-
it.
I
yeah,
won't fuck it.
I tap that. What I've heard about Yamazaki, and this mostly comes from Movie Bob, who I know is a big Godzilla fan as well. He knows he loves his Godzilla, and he's basically saying describe Yamazaki as kind of he's considered like the Japanese Spielberg at this point. He just captures that at that moment. And after watching this, yeah, I can see that comparison. That's really good. I really don't know much else beyond that. I've never seen any of his other movies. I don't really get to see live action Japanese stuff that often. I'm more of an anime guy, and even that's not as much as I used to watch. But damn, dude can direct.
Like I'm actually looking through like his filmography. Apparently, he directed the Dragon Quest Your Story.
That's
film.
right. He did do that one.
Was
He
that,
also
was that
there was
the
another
Netflix
one he
one
did.
that some fans didn't care for
Yeah.
because of the deviations to the? I haven't seen it, but from what I understand, I think I
Yeah.
heard Derek talk about it one time. There's like slight deviations to the game
At the
story that people didn't like.
very end, it becomes evidence why it's called Your Story, and it's like it's fine. It has other ones. Hold on.
I see Lupin the Third, the
Yeah.
first.
Yes, that was the other one I was saying. That was a fun movie. I actually own that one. That was another good one. All CG animated, looks pretty good. Lupin in 3D. Who would guess?
That's the only full length Lupin movie I've seen, and I loved it.
Oh, okay.
I watched it at Christmas a few years ago, and I was like, I know it was animated, I think, by Marza Planet, who are owned by Sega, and I want to say during it, I was like, wait a minute, this plot just ripped off Sonic Adventure 2. I'm not. I do not remember why. Like I don't remember the plot that well, but I just remember thinking like, wait a minute, this is just Sonic Adventure 2 in anime form. I don't care for this, Sega.
You've probably seen it as well, Elliot, but he actually he is just very well known for when it comes to CG direction, whether it's the anime films, of course. All of his anime films have been always 3D, but also video games. He has one video game credit.
Yep. I'm
The
looking right at
opening
it.
the opening CG to Onimusha 3, which is at the time I remember it being holy hell, this looks amazing.
That one is definitely gonna be one for John because he fucking loves the Onimusha games.
Yeah. Tell him that, and he'll be like, "Oh shit!"
It's like, oh yeah, before the movie starts, the director, yeah, he also directed the opening cutscene for Onimusha 3. All right, Godzilla, here we go.
But I mean, so like if we just want to quickly go over the story, it basically opens near the end of World War II, where a kamikaze pilot who's having second thoughts lands on a island claiming that his plane is malfunctioning.
Yep.
And then it's this part. Fuck man, almost made me wet myself. And then they like the Godzilla appears very early in this movie. Basically, he lands, his plane is looked at, and then it cuts to nighttime. And then the island he's on, which is it's Odo Island, which will
Yes.
people who are fans of the franchise will know that is the made up island from the original movie where Godzilla was first seen. So a nice little throwback.
Oh, that's nice.
But everyone is awoken at night by the roaring of basically a roughly T-Rex sized Godzilla who is attacking
Which
the
that
island.
threw me off. Is like, wait, he looks small.
That I'm not gonna so like. And then we're gonna just do spoilers throughout this entire thing. But
Yeah, there's no way not to do spoilers.
The first time he's on screen, where it's just that like searchlight looking, and it's just as he like leans over and is like roaring. I have never felt such terror while watching a
Yeah.
Godzilla movie than that three possible seconds. It is so fucking scary when that first happens.
They make him like it's like oh shit, very
And,
much
like-
of it in this movie.
And like especially when you're in a theater with a really good sound system. So like when that roar, he's bellowing, it's like you feel that like everywhere when it comes up.
So and then like as he starts this, I also think what makes this Godzilla so scary. Is, like, I would still say on a design, just on a pure visual level, Shin Godzilla is probably still like the scariest Godzilla, but he acts like a mindless thing. This Godzilla is the scariest because of Harry. This is a vengeful motherfucker. Like Toho have a rule, a literal rule that Godzilla is never allowed to be shown eating people.
Yep.
But in this,
Oh,
but like
I didn't
in
realize
this,
that.
as Dinosaur Godzilla, he doesn't eat people, but he picks people up with his jaw and just yeets those motherfuckers across the island. Like he's like this Godzilla goes out of his way to murder everything he can see. It's
He
so
does.
fucked up.
He'll step on him. He'll throw crap at him. He's like, oh, you guys messed up. I'm taking all of you out.
Like I made because there's a YouTuber I watch called Big Action Bill who goes through a lot of Godzilla movies, and in his because he was in Japan when this came out, so we got to see it a bit earlier, and in his first like spoiler free video he put out, he made specific mention about Godzilla's eyes, and so I watched him and like he unlike again something like Shin or some of the older movies, but obviously they didn't have the technology to have the eyes move. This Godzilla tracks people, and just that's so fucking terrifying. Just to see this Godzilla like move his eyes, see you, and then like come towards you. I'm like, oh fuck. Like,
Which kind of makes sense why this guy who couldn't go through with killing himself for the kamikaze cause, which was when the war was already basically over, and they're like, yeah, you faked this, didn't you? He's like, I get it. Most of the guys there were like, I get it. We're already losing. And then they're like, hey, you have like a really good gun on your plane. Get in there and shoot him. We'll take him out. And I'm thinking to myself, it's like, that's not going to work. This poor dude's dead. I'm just in like, that's not going to, who knows? The thing is, it might have worked at this point. We don't know. That's the crazy thing about this.
Because again, the like dinosaur Godzilla is before he is mutated. So it sounds dumb to say, but he is just a natural creature at the start.
Yeah, just
of
an
the
urban
movie.
legend that happens to be around Odo Island, and just something for the locals.
Although I will say it's like I don't want to say if it's a continuity error, but like they make a point of showing, which is it's set up for later on in the movie. Before Godzilla attacks, the main character notices a lot of like dead fish in the water, which is a setup for later when he knows he can tell that Godzilla is going to come back. If Godzilla isn't like radioactive at the start, what is killing those fish? That might be the only like plot hole I can
He's
think
eating them because they're saying they have a line in there where they mentioned that he's eating the deep water fish and that's what's rising to the top.
Right.
It's
okay.
the bits of the he's eating the deep because he's so deep underwater. It's rising to the top of all that, so they actually get there before him.
And
maybe
then when the radiation happens, then it's like, oh, now they're just coming up because of the radiation poisoning.
I will say it's like this is just how dirty my mind is. Because they didn't look like fish, I thought it was a bunch of dildos in the water. Because they were like long with like pink ends. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And it's like, it's fish. I'm like, oh, sure, okay, whatever you guys say, Toho, it's fish, okay.
Godzilla's after the perverts in the deep water.
But so after this, he and our main character who is Kanochi.
Koichi Shikishima.
Shikishima.
They usually call him Shikishima.
Yes.
He and one other person are the only people who survive.
Tachibana is his name.
Tachibana is again. I am. There's a set of 3 characters that are introduced later that I think Toho gave nicknames for idiots like me. Because his crew is just known as Captain, Doc, and Kid. Like, I can follow those names. Thank you, Toho. I'm an idiot, so thank you for giving me nicknames to follow with. He returns home to I believe it's Tokyo is where he lives. He returns home to Tokyo, which has just been completely decimated by the war. He goes back to his old home. He finds out that his parents have been murdered in the bombings, and he encounters a one of his neighbors who knew that he was signed up for the kamikaze program. So she's very you're a coward. Like
It,
my children
yeah,
died in the bombings because
yeah.
of you.
They might have lived if you had actually done your kamikaze duties.
Yep.
Exactly. Which
Which dude already has survivor's guilt because all the guys on Odo Island just died because of him.
But like I know, like obviously, this is it's a period piece, and it's from a different culture and a different perspective. So I'm gonna try and be as PC as I can with this. But that's such a fucked up mindset to be to somebody like you should have killed yourself because that might have possibly saved my children. It's so it's so messed up.
Like, unfortunately, for the time it takes place, she feels that way because it's like, oh, you're supposed to kill yourself for the greater good, but it's like now you're looking back at it, it's like, Jesus. That's
well, again, that was like they go into it a little bit, but like that was like Japanese nationalism. Like the government was telling them what a great, like serve your country by blowing yourself up and some American planes.
This movie, yeah, this movie goes out of its way to say like, no, that's messed up that they were asking us to do that.
Yeah. Like there was like a worry because like the director worked on another World War II film. I think it's called The Great War of Archimedes.
I want to say he worked on another movie about Japanese suicide bombers, which I guess the message of that movie leaned a bit more into the it's for the greater good kind of thing, from what I understand.
And like the thing is like a lot of people were like worried that like this is gonna glorify it, but then like the way he was saying that he wanted to portray it was this is what it was like. We're treating it like it was an actual tragedy for these people to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I feel like in this movie, he conveyed that like really well, especially because like, we're like seeing like the aftermath of how these people are trying to live like after these air raids happen and like trying to make like everything work. But then like having this one guy who was a kamikaze pilot come back and just have the survivor's guilt because he didn't do his duty. It's like, yeah, this is actually a really nice deep dive into this.
I mean, the greatest sort of like commendation I can give to this movie is that section from him getting back to Tokyo to just before Godzilla returns. I could have watched the rest of the movie without Godzilla popping back up. It was entertaining and investing enough just as is. Because you're feeling for this guy. You're feeling for the nightmares he's having at night. His encounter with this other woman who's just taking care of this baby that was orphaned, and she has no idea what she's doing with it. She's stealing food and all that, and she just sort of latches onto him. And the neighbor lady who hated him is like, "Well, I'm not going to let this kid die, so I'll help you. I know how to help with kids." And that sort of brings them together. And then he finally gets a job as a minesweeper, getting rid of all the mines that were set up outside of Japan by both America and the States, which pays well because, well, he might die, but that's how he meets Doc, the captain, and the kid.
Yeah.
And it's just them going through their lives and him just having too much trauma and survivor's guilt to do any kind of relationship with her, because it's like 3 years before Godzilla shows up again. It's like 1947 or 8.
Yeah,
Something
so
like
so he returns back at the end of 55, and then he gets the job. Sorry, in 45, and then he gets, from what I'm seeing, he gets the minesweeper job in 47, because there is a quick, and I kind of appreciate how brief this was.
46, he gets the job. 47 is when Godzilla shows up.
Oh, gotcha, my bad. So before he gets the job, and then there's a very 30-second scene of just the nukes being dropped, and then you just see like this almost like extreme close-up of just Godzilla's eye, and you just hear him roar and his skin just start to like bleed. And I thought that was such a one, it's just really good economic storytelling, and two, it's just such a really cool, and then it's like, oh fuck, it's about to get bad now. Like shit's about to get really, really bad.
And like I also found it interesting that like when you're watching the movie, they do that famous clip of the bomb going off showing the mushroom cloud. But it's not the actual clip. They remade that for this movie.
Oh, really? Wow.
Like if you were to see it again, you were to compare them. It's like that's not the original footage, but that's actually pretty cool. Like
take that, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, fuck you, Oppenheimer.
I will say it is funny how, quick aside, on IMDb, the top-rated movies of this year are Oppenheimer and Godzilla Minus One. And like, I'm not saying like that's just funny in and of itself, but like I want to see someone now. I know it's not like 1-to-1, but like just like do a supercut of those two movies. Like, because famously in Oppenheimer, we never see footage of what happens in Japan. I'm just saying, you could just be like, quick interlude at Oppenheimer. Here's Godzilla -1. Back to Oppenheimer.
Godzilla. Put in -1. Although I've also seen, because we got the trailer for the new Godzilla Kong movie, about like the Godzilla in that movie. I've heard people joke, say, "Oh, that's the end result of Barbenheimer."
Dude, so I followed I forget, Jared something. He designed that version of Godzilla and he posted that meme, because it is just nice. It's like, because it's just like it's a Godzilla, but I joke that it almost looks like he got a superstar, because his spikes are now like glowing pink when he does his atomic breath. So it is the perfect fusion of boys and girls combined. Is just Godzilla X Kong Godzilla. It's great. But I mean, like, to get back to where Derek got to, when Godzilla reappears in the ocean, I typically I don't know what it is, but I never really care for or about movies set at sea. I don't know why. I just like people on a boat. I'm just like, typically, there's a few exceptions, but typically I'm like, I just find that stuff boring. I would have watched 4 hours of Godzilla just trailing this little boat, in the
water. Like, just remake Jaws, except with Godzilla.
Like, here's the thing that got me with that scene when Godzilla's like tailing them as they're like trying to escape. It's the eyes on Godzilla.
It's them eyes.
He's leaning into them. He's ready to, like, oh, I'm gonna get you. I'm coming for you. I took out this other boat. I just wrecked this ship. Oh no, they haven't wrecked. The other ship hasn't shown up yet. They're coming, and they finally get that mine to blow up in his mouth, which is like, oh hell, they actually pulled it off. And then you can see, like, I'm like, oh, it's probably not going to do anything. And then you just see him, like, it's half his face blown off. I'm like, oh shit, actually did something. And then he starts healing. I'm like, oh shit.
It was like, oh shit, and then oh shit.
Because I think people have not dissed it, because Godzilla regenerating is it's been an aspect of the character for a long time. But in the olden days, we didn't really see it because it was expensive. I think like Godzilla 2000, I think, was the first to really make a point of it. That's what Ogre is. The villain is like, the Ogre steals Godzilla's regenerative powers, which is why it starts transforming into Godzilla when he eats him. But like, and then things like, obviously, like Shin had him evolve and like change form and like fix himself that way. But this is the first time we've just seen it on camera. Like, oh no, like it's like he's Wolverine. You shoot a hole in his face, you just quickly, just the cells will come back together and reform his face. Like, and it's the atomic breath. I didn't think anything could top Shin, and I think in terms of a pure sequence, I might still give the edge to Shin Godzilla's. That whole sequence.
I've seen the Shin atomic breath. I feel like that is still better, just because it's so much more visceral. But I like the slow reveal of it, because you don't see the full activation of the atomic breath. You just see Godzilla get shut off the giant cruiser that shoots him off, and he goes underwater, and then all of a sudden, bam, just up through the boat, like, screw you, I'm done.
Like,
and
like in terms of like that, for that reveal of the atomic breath, is like, all right, for this movie, that's badass. Like, and like also real quick, when they were trying to get the mine into his mouth, and then it did that close up of his jaw with the mines and the water splashing. For a split second, I thought that was a suit.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Like, it looks so good. It's like that. There's no way that's CG. That looks like a suit. It's like, no, that's all CG. It's like, holy shit, that looks good.
Dude is good at dude is good at what he does. That's for sure. This whole visual effect stuff. But the thing is, it constantly shows how undervalued the people of Japan are to the government, because you got these little mining boats, 2 little mining boats. It's like, yeah, distract Godzilla until our big guy shows up. It's like,
yeah,
we're in a freaking wooden boat. I love how it's like Captain's like, I don't like the government, but we got to do what we got to do. And he sees the other boat get taken out. It's like, yep, fuck the government. I'm out of here. It's the movie can be funny. It's not like a tons of jokes or anything.
Patriotism will only get you so far in this world. Like.
It's it's pretty good. They survive, but unfortunately, Godzilla just is ready to make landfall, and they're like, we got to warn the people, and they're like, we don't want to cause a panic, so we're not going to warn anybody. And
it was when the captain like said like, oh, Japan's really good at keeping information from people. I'm like, damn,
yeah,
you're not wrong.
No,
but
for
then,
sure.
But then, yeah, at that point, because during the incident, our main character gets knocked out. He wakes up in the hospital. That's when he and his 3 compatriots tell him that Japan's not gonna tell anyone, but they're gonna try and do something to stop Godzilla.
Yeah,
doesn't really happen.
No, they're trying to stop him before they make landfall, and none of their mines or weapons are doing really much of anything. And I do like how they very much say, like, why isn't the U.S. helping us? Well, they can't put in major military aid without potentially pissing off the Soviets and being like, what's going on? Yep. So the Americans can't help either. So I like how it all makes sense. It all fits. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, that sounds like politics that would screw over the people.
It's a very tight script. Like and a lot of things, like, I know, to go back to Shin for a second, I know some people don't like how like fast paced Shin is, and like the script in Shin doesn't function like a movie. There are characters, but no one really has any character. There's no like arcs or anything like that. I still think it's a very well written movie. I love Shin Godzilla, but like, I think if you didn't click with Shin, I think this will, because this one functions like there's characters and arcs and motivations. Things are set up and paid off later. Not a lot of that happens in Shin. It's just, oh shit, he's done something new. What the fuck do we do now? And that happens like 4 times over the course of Shin Godzilla, which is realistic for like what probably would have happened.
Courtroom. Yeah, yes. Courtroom drama type thing was like, how do we do this? We're not really having a character. We're just trying to solve a problem.
Pretty much, which again I think works. I think it works totally fine in Shin, but again, if that kind of storytelling didn't click with you, I think Minus One will.
Oh, there's some fantastic characters in here, because I don't know about you guys, but I got some freaking tears on my eyes watching this damn movie.
Like. Because you're it's a rare case for a Godzilla movie to be so invested in characters, in human characters, and like, I think this is like possibly the only exception, aside from the original Godzilla, that you feel so invested in humans and like their struggles and like how they're trying to like get better, like because of the state of the world that they're in.
I would say with the exception of. Doesn't really count, but Bryan Cranston in 14. You're like, I love this character. Oh, he's gone already. Okay, then let's turn off the movie.
Yeah, that was the biggest mess up there. Is like, kill the son, save the father.
Which, like,
I don't give a fuck about Quicksilver. I care about Walter White.
Yeah.
Godzilla, we need to cook.
Yeah, no, he let him cook.
like the other thing is like, you're like seeing them like formed as like this little like dysfunctional family, but then it's like they're making it work, and then you want to see them survive this.
They have, like, he has his job. She's sort of like waiting, and all those like friends are sort of surprised when he finds out they're not actually married, and he's like, what the hell are you waiting for, dude? She's obviously into you. What the hell?
This baby's like 3 years old now. What are you doing? Like, go on with that.
And like, I will say this. It broke me a bit when she called him dad, and then he was like, I'm not your dad. I'm like, bro.
I did. Dick.
It's like, dude, you're basically a father at this point. You've been taking care of her for 3 years.
Which I'm sure certain scenes hit you kind of hard, Gareth.
No,
because I would say this kid is not exactly the best actor from what I can tell, but it's just enough that you're like, shit.
The crying looks realistic. So like when at the end there's a scene coming up where like where he basically says goodbye to her. That's when I was like,
yeah. You're a dad and you're seeing this shit and you're like, oh, God damn
being
it.
a father's ruined me. In the past, I'd laugh. Be like, good. You can be on your own now, you little shit.
I know, right? You could actually laugh laugh this stuff off. It's like, oh, that's sad, but not really be affected by it. But then you actually have one of your own. And you're like, oh, damn it.
Damn it. I would leave you to go and try and kill Godzilla to protect your future. God damn it. But then to go back to the story at that point, that's when Godzilla comes ashore and
Giza.
Ginza,
and
yeah.
just hold like again, I would still probably say Shin's scene of destruction is probably more of a standout, but this is the only time I've ever seen a Godzilla movie where he like purposely punches buildings to destroy them. And it's also a thing because since 2014, there was kind of this constant dick measuring contest between Legendary and Toho, who has the tallest Godzilla. 2014 was the tallest. Then Shin came out, and it was a little bit taller. Then King of the Monsters came out, and it was a little bit taller. And then Toho made the anime trilogy. It's like, he's 300 fucking meters tall. Beat that. You can't. It doesn't make any sense. And then after that, Toho were like, well, because now this one, he's back to like being like, he's a notch taller than the original. He's roughly 50 meters tall.
Yeah.
Which I think for how this one acts was the perfect size, because he's still a giant. He's still a giant creature, but he's not like Shin tall where like it wouldn't make sense for him to be looking at the people on the ground. This one, he can still clearly see everyone on the ground.
They're not just ants going around. They're actually like, no, these are things that I'm going to
like
kill.
He's stepping on squirrels and not ants, you know.
That's a good way to put it.
Which also, this is like, I think like the first Godzilla movie we're seeing where people are actually getting stepped on by him, and we're visually seeing it happen.
Because I think a lot of times it would normally it would be, at least in the original like GMK, it's normally him destroying a building people are in. I don't think we've seen. Unless
the closest we ever saw that was the Godzilla 98.
I was gonna say exactly, he almost stepped on Animal. We can't have that. But yeah, again, it's just like this. I love him. This bastard goes out of his way to murder everyone he can. And I love it.
It's like you got the news crew there reporting everything, and they're like, it's like best. Screw this building in particular. Screw you guys. You think he's gonna pass by, but then he notices. I'm like, nope.
No, I was so hoping they were like, he's Godzilla. I was hoping he would like walk, turn, notice them, and just be like, you motherfuckers, and just swipe at him. That's what I was hoping we would see.
And in terms of the story, it's also in this point where the woman, her name is Noriko.
Noriko, yes, she's been working in Ginza. So as soon as Koichi hears that, it's like, oh shit.
She's on the train, like on her way. And then, like, the alert comes on, and then she sees him through the window. I'm like, whoa.
The train in the trailer that we all saw, in the first teaser, the first thing we saw him do was bite the train. Unfortunately, the train that she is in.
Yes, and she hangs in there and is able to fall into it, but still having her next to him and just seeing that size comparison at that point, it's really, like, you can feel the fear, and then she lands in the water, and she seems to be safe. And the one thing I was like, how the hell did I pull that off? Where she's trying to run with everybody else. You can see the destruction as he's going through Ginza, and she falls and just seems to be getting ready to be stepped on. When all of a sudden Koichi shows up, finds her in this crowd, and is like, no, we got to go.
Yeah,
we're getting out of here.
She was in a state of shell shock when that came up, because like when it goes to her, she's just walking and everyone else is running.
Well, she just survived a like close encounter with it. I would have stayed in the water and stayed far away from that thing. He's going that way. I'm going that way.
I mean, like, this way.
Him finding her, that is one of those, like, it's not very realistic, but at that point, it's like, this movie's done so much good. Yeah, I'll let that slide.
You're too invested to really care. Like, you think about it afterwards, but also like, I don't care.
There's something at the end that I don't buy as much, but we'll get to that when we get to the end.
I buy it, but I'm also more. I guess it's just the emotional investment. But we'll get.
But essentially, during this attack, God's like, I forget exactly what sets him up. What sets him off? Rather,
the tanks.
The tanks are.
The thing is, he hates being attacked. You attack him. Like he'll be like if you look at him funny, then he'll attack you. But if you attack him, then he's like, "Oh, I'm going to mess you up."
Which I'm like, I buy that. That's fair. Like
and then it gets to that reveal. It starts from the tail. You start seeing the dorsal fins just
they pop
like,
out.
Yeah,
it's like
and it's like a trigger sequence. Like that's cool.
I forget if it was 2014 that established that when he charges up the atomic breath, his dorsal plates on his tail up his back start lighting up. I forget if a Toho movie did that beforehand, but they start lighting.
Yeah, it was definitely 2014. It was 2014.
So in this one, like each one lights up, and like again, it pops out of his tail. And I love how it starts slow, but then as we start going up his body, they just kind of start coming out faster. And I've seen a lot of people online compare this to like nuclear control rods in like nuclear power plants. They all come out. He sucks in. This again was the first time they did this was in 2014, but I get it because it was CG. You can tell he sucks in for a little bit before he blows out. He sucks in. Yeah. All of those dorsal plates come slamming down on his body, and it's like a fucking shotgun blast just comes out.
Yeah.
And then nuclear explosion, basically. Like, holy crap!
Again, this might be the first movie to really treat that as a nuclear, because as a real nuclear explosion, because for the first time, like, there's so much like pushback.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It doesn't have that sort of blowtorch feel of Shin Godzilla, because again, I've not seen the full movie, but I have seen that.
Well, that is like that is like a laser beam. His shins turns into like a laser, because normally it's called the atomic breath because it's kind of like a beam attack. You know, so like in other movies, it's like a thing that'll push it and it'll like push back. It'll push you back. It won't just like hit you and explode. This one is just like, damn, son.
It's just a nuclear blast from the mouth, and it's just like, Jesus. And it really is effective in how they show how it affects people on ground level with that. Because you got the big explosion, of course, but the first thing that got me was like, I was like, oh no. Koichi and Noriko are standing next to an alleyway, and she sees this happening, and Noriko pushes Koichi into the alleyway and gets caught up in the basically airflow of the blast, gets pushed back and then sucked back in with all the people, and just all the people are gone except for Koichi, who was saved by the alleyway blocking it. It's
which
just like
small thing, but again on that big action build, he was just like, entire buildings are being blown apart. How come this motherfucker lives? Like,
that's really high quality brick.
Japan's strongest building, nothing get defeated.
But then after that's done, he like roars and then he leaves. You see him coming out, and he is just angry at Godzilla. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I buy this. I really buy this, because at that point it's like he pretty much killed the only person that cared for him at this moment.
There was proper build up too, because we had mentioned that he had been having nightmares, and he finally, before this all happened,
I was about to say,
explained to her, because he had that second encounter with Godzilla at sea, finally explained to her, it's like, I encountered this thing before. I was a failed suicide pilot, and I failed to stop this creature the first time. They all blame me. I hate this. I don't even know if I'm actually alive. You might all just be a vision of like me being insane or something, like, or a death vision or something like that.
The thing that makes it worse though is that the morning of the attack, he wakes up and pretty much says, like, he pretty much says to himself, "I'm gonna try and live again. Like, I'm gonna try and put that behind me." And Godzilla's like, "LOL, guess what, mate? Yeah, I don't think so."
You should have seen that coming, but part of it was like, I didn't think she was going to die. I thought it was going to be like something else that spurs him on in some way, that like, it's like just the city destruction, I guess, would be enough to spur him on. But no, he takes out Noriko, and it's just like, oh, fuck this guy. I'm taking out this lizard.
it's just one of the rare moments in a Godzilla movie where it's like, yeah, these guys gotta stop him. He's doing too much.
Again, it is one of the few, because I think most of us Godzilla fans, a lot of times we are rooting for the King of the Monsters. I think this is one of the few ones where we're like, king or not, you gotta go, bro. Like that's you were doing some fucked up shit, my friend.
You're not like, it's cool to see the destruction, but it's also one of those things like, that's like you don't really want to see him do it.
It's like you're
Japan's already rebuilding. Like they just got through a war, bro. Let them have a break.
Like,
and
when you're killing really boring people with bland character arcs, I don't give a fuck. But like, this person's well written. You can't ruin his life. Leave him alone.
You turned into a big time villain, Goji. I somehow made this stream 10 times as cringy because of it. I managed to bring in SA2. Let's go.
God.
Then like after like all of that, like he goes back to Tokyo, but then it's like I think it was Doc that brings up that like they're bringing people together for a plan.
Yes.
Yeah,
because Doc starts to pull some strings because he saw that what happened in Ginza. They all like they're all mourning over Noriko, the kids asking about where's Mama, and just like,
oh god,
Mama's
that's
not gonna be.
Because the aunt comes and she's like, I forget, I think the little girl flat out says, is mommy dead? And the aunt goes, no, honey, she's just away on work. And it's like,
and she just starts crying still. And it's just like, oh, she knows.
Yeah. I'm like, damn.
Again, before man. Fatherhood, I'd be laughing at her. Fatherhood has ruined me.
I have a heart now. What the hell?
Just like the Grinch, it grew 3 sizes the day Benjamin was born, and it won't go back down. But I love, you know what I love about like, and then again, so a bunch of basically just off-duty Old Navy people have basically come together with veterans with this plan, because as the guy in charge is basically says, like, the Japanese government ain't gonna do shit. Like they'll loan us a few ships, but they're not gonna do anything for us. So I also love how, like, the original movie, it's obviously it's a lot more grounded in its style and tone than the series would become. But like the oxygen destroyer is still like a wacky sci-fi weapon. I like the fact that they're using like science and physics to try and defeat Godzilla in this movie versus, I've made this weapon that'll turn Godzilla to cheese if we put it onto his tail, like something like that,
Yeah. I like that they sort of explain the science. It's like, you see it, it's like, no, I can imagine people in 47 thinking this stuff up. Because the Doc basically is like, okay, we have 4 ships on loan that we can actually use, and we have all of us working together, and I came up with this plan to sort of, like, we got to kill Godzilla because conventional weaponry isn't going to do the trick. So instead, we're going to use this machine that causes these special bubbles. I don't fully understand it still, where it basically will get them to the deepest part and just sink them as fast as possible. So the decompression just rips them apart. And if that doesn't work, we got flotation devices on them. So we'll raise them back up. So that'll hit him a second time and with the decompression. And hopefully that'll be enough to take him out. And like,
Ocean Gate 47, baby.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God.
Oh God!
We've made a really big submersible that he can brag about on social media, and when it gets down long enough, it'll explode. It's a genius idea.
And like when they're discussing this plan, like the other 3, like Yoichi, the captain, and the kid, they didn't even know that he was like the main guy making the plan. Like they were just surprised that it was happening from him.
Doc comes out and they're like, "Wait a minute, I know that guy."
And Koichi's like, excuse me, very judgmental against Doc. He's like, "Hey, this is going to kill him, right? I can't say for sure. It's going to kill him, right? I don't know. Well, fuck you. I want him guaranteed dead." He's like, "It's our best chance. Just go with it." Like, he wants to go do it.
But like, what is he expected? No one knows what the fuck Godzilla is. How's Doc gonna realistically? How is Doc going to know? It's like
true. Doc is one of my favorite characters in this. He's very fun.
Yeah. They also brought up a plan B in case like sinking him didn't work.
Yeah, raising him up, as Derek said, which I like that because he's like, what if that doesn't work? He's like, well, I got a plan B. Have you got a plan C? No.
No, because there's only so much we can do.
I've given you 2 plans. There's more plans than you came up with. Shut up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's not true because Koichi is like, hey, do we have a plane that can you give me a plane so I can bait Godzilla into the, the 1,500 meter part?
Their plan was to use audio recordings of Godzilla to trick him into, because I guess this Godzilla's a moron, to trick him into going into this specific patch of water.
He's not a moron. It's more he's extremely territorial, and basically that's what they're saying is like, oh, he claimed this section of Japan for himself, so he's just getting territorial, and he's going to come back, and that's why he's going to come back and just stomp all over the place.
But it's like, I wonder, but like in context of this though, I imagine though if it was like one of us and they just had a recording of us going, "Hey you," and played it, I wouldn't be like, "That's someone else." I'd be like, "That's my fucking voice. What's going on here, mate?" Like, I wonder if the Shkrionks are just going to be like, "Wait a minute, how is my voice coming from over there?" I'm gonna.
He's vengeful, but they do classify him as very animal-like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
but then he goes. If you get me a plane, I can, based on how he acts, I can attack him and then draw him out into the water. But then he has a secret plan because he saw on the ocean bed when as Derek said earlier, when they blew up the mine inside of his mouth, it affected him. So he's like, the inside of his body is weak. So if I get inside there, I can just stab him from the inside a lot and make him sick.
That's totally planned. Not, time to go back to the kamikaze plan and actually make this work. But he specifically goes after the guy from Oda Island, which I like.
The one mechanic who survived.
Yes.
Yeah. And the way he did it to like lure him to go to.
Oh my! I did not expect that. That was so cool.
Beat the shit out of me.
I was like, holy shit, that's evil, but it worked.
There's a moment in after they leave the island at the beginning of the film. That guy, the mechanic, goes up to our main character and gives him this like bloodied paper like bag full of photos of all the people who died. And this guy's just like, you're a piece of shit. Like, this is like, you could
look at all the people whose their families all gone and whatnot.
And so
it's on you.
There's a few scenes of him trying to find this guy's address, and he's given a few possible locations. So he's just mailing out letters to anywhere he can think, and all of the letters basically him going, "Hey mechanic, it's your fault everyone died on that island. You suck." And there's this great scene where the mechanic just turns up at his house. He's like, You fucking what, mate? Like, what the fuck? Like, you absolute fucking what, mate? And just beats the ever-loving shit out of him for so much so that in the next scene where he's speaking to Doc's like, "You going out falling down, did you? Interesting. That's another word." But
I fell down some stairs. Yes, he fell down some stairs.
Yeah. But the mechanic basically goes like, "Fuck you." Like, he explains like, Godzilla's back. We want to stop him, but I need your help because we only have one plane. You're the only person I know for a fact can fix this thing up. And he's like, "Fuck you." And then in the next scene, he turns up and says, "Okay, I'll do it now." I was like, that's some good writing, Japan.
Well, no, it's not so much that.
I know.
He secretly tells him, "Hey, I plan to kill myself to take out Godzilla." "Oh, yeah, I'll help with that." that's his impetus. Is like, "Oh yeah, you want to kill yourself? Sure.
Both of you die. I'm in. You son of a bitch, I'm in. Let's go."
And then like the other thing is like when he shows him the plane that he wants him to fix up. It was called a Shinden. I actually have the Wikipedia article for it. It's the Kyushu J7W Shinden.
Yeah, I think they said, wasn't it like they were making it towards the end of the war, but it wasn't fully commissioned, so it's like pretty rare. I think they
it was meant to defend Japan from the Tokyo from a land attack from the US.
It was expected to be a highly maneuverable interceptor, but only 2 prototypes were finished before the end of the war. A jet engine powered version was considered, but never even reached the drawing board.
Yeah.
So
they get it back into flying shape, and this is like, it'll be fast enough to keep you out of Godzilla's hands. And and they, very early on, it was like, he's a really good pilot. That's the other thing they made sure to say. But yeah, that basically is just the rest of it. Just setting up this plan, getting all these men together, being like, "Hey, maybe now we can actually fight for something that actually be worth a damn and actually get a victory and like feel like we're actually doing something.
There's also something we haven't really talked about is Kid. He was never a part of the war, and a big part of his character arc is he wants to see some action. He wants to fight in the war. Once they come up with this plan, and we're like, we're gonna do this plan tomorrow. We know what we have to do. We're gonna Joe Godzilla over here, sink him, and then if that doesn't work, raise him up. Blah blah blah. Captain basically goes like, "Go home, kid. Like don't be."
It's a point of pride to not have seen war.
Yeah, I love that line so much. Where like the kid's like, "I've never seen war," and Captain's like, "Well, then you should be proud of that." And I'm like, it's so good. And then which he basically goes home crying. But then that's a setup. You see, this movie is all about about setups and payoffs, my friend. This movie is amazing.
Also the reaction that Koichi gave when the kid said like, "Oh, like I wish the war went on a little longer," and that instant like,
Koichi's like ready to beat the hell out of him.
He just like grabs him by like the throat. She's like, "You better be joking." Like he basically goes, "Say psych right now. Say psych."
As soon as I saw that, I'm like, damn.
Ooh. I mean, like, you also get it.
Even Captain goes, "You're an idiot, kid." Like, next time, keep your mouth shut, maybe,
Yeah, pretty much. I also really appreciate this other thing where it's the night before, and Doc is just like, we have caught sight of Godzilla. He's tripped our sort of tracking devices. We know he's coming. Based on his our projections, he'll be here at this time. So we'll get together at this time. So spend the night with your families. Might be your last chance. And you're like, oh, so we're going to die. He's like, no. Basically the government abandoned us and treated our lives as next to nothing between, all the different soldiers and of course bringing up the kamikaze pilots and all that stuff. And it's like, no, this is an operation where, we're going to live. That's the whole point of this. We're fighting to live, but be with your families type thing, which not just to skip ahead a little bit. The fact that nobody fucking dies in that final fight is such a good, like a good, like, hell yeah, Doc.
Yeah.
Well, no, technically one person dies. The person they wanted to die dies.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
but he's an acceptable casualty because that's who they wanted to die.
That's the other thing. It's like, well, did he? But we'll get there.
He died for a little bit. He's dead for 5 minutes. He'll come back again. It's fine.
And then like the next day, like the plan's in motion. They're getting things ready. They're loading up. But then like they're like telling him like Captain's like telling the kid is like like you weren't in this, so. You gotta
Fuck
go,
off.
bro.
Yeah.
But then, like, he was so determined because he wanted to help, like, in any form or fashion. And I'm like, I kind of respect that. I gotta be honest.
I'll say, Jano guess in the chat. This country treats lives too cheaply. Like, that's such a good line.
That's a good line.
Such a good line.
Like,
that's
Jesus.
Good. We have the heartbreak thing of Koichi like leaving a note next to his daughter after spending the night with her. And...
After he specifically tells her he's not going to leave her.
Yeah.
He specifically says he's a liar. He deserved to die. But he specifically tells her he's not going to die. Because again, his plan is to completely just, to sacrifice himself to defeat Godzilla. So when Godzilla arrives at the land, everyone springs into action. Our main hero starts attacking Godzilla and drives him into the water. The plan goes off pretty effectively.
It's honestly a pretty awesome plan. I like all the little bits and pieces where the core idea is we need to get Godzilla to use his atomic breath so we can safely encircle him with the Freon bubbles creators. So they send out 2 dummy ships that he blasts, and then they're like, okay, go.
Pretty much, yeah. And then I love how they use 2 ships to kind of drive around him to kind of like tie a belt to him. Like,
yeah,
I just like that.
And it's so tight. They're like, oh, we're gonna scrape against each other. It's all right.
At that point, I'm not like a bolt guy, but can't you just like turn the thing a little bit right to miss the second bolt? Like, again, I'm not a bolt guy.
There's a turning radius or something. I don't know.
Probably enough. I was like, surely that's what the controls are for. You can just be like, like again. But
like a little to the right. You know,
a little to the right. But that works. He goes down. He goes down to as low as they need him to. But then he's not. I forget how they visualize he's not dead, but like he goes down to where he needs to be.
You see the numbers for how far into the depths he's going. Just stop.
Okay, yeah,
entirely.
Yeah, so he's treading water basically at that point.
Yeah.
Well, I thought
that's when
I thought he hit the bottom, but then they try to drag him back out, and that's when he stops.
That is the truth. Yeah. They're trying to drag him back out, but he's obviously trying to keep himself from decompressing. Yeah. So they're trying to drag him back up because that's the second part of the plan. But they got the
two boats tubes they have are not strong enough. But then
well, remember they had the balloons.
Yes,
that was the initial plan, but then he beat them. He ripped them right off.
I'm not wearing white after Labor Day. Fuck this.
It's like, shit, he's smart. So they start using the boats to try to pull him up that way manually, but they're not strong enough to do it. Again, great writing on this thing. That's when the kid shows up.
And he's like, I've seen Rise of Skywalker. I knew what to do. Go get everyone you've ever seen and come back save the day.
This is how you do it right.
Yeah, pretty much. And then he gets his big thing of like, I'm here, and then he brings pretty much everyone who has a boat to help pull the two big boats to lift Godzilla up, and it's good.
You want to know another great thing about that? What was the kid's plan during the meeting that he was trying to well, what's your plan? Let's just get a bunch of boats to lift him up, and that way that we don't have to do the thing. And what does he do? Use a bunch of boats to lift him up. We don't have enough torque for that.
Not since Back to the Future or Shaun of the Dead has a movie had so much setup with so many payoffs. Everything is set up. It's so good.
There's some setups that are very obvious, I see where it's going to go. Other ones are not as obvious. They're a little bit more subtle. And it's I see what you did there.
Which leads in one I thought they were going to do, which they technically did, but in a different way. Once that they kind of get him up again to the stop, he starts charging up his atomic breath, but he's been slowed down by the Freon, and so our main guy goes to do his plan to drop a bomb right into his mouth and blow up. There's a moment before they go to land where the mechanic shows him how to if you pull this button, if you pull this lever, the bomb will come out. But
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
They pull the thing, but because there's a moment earlier in the movie where they specifically point out the fact that Japanese planes were made without an ejector seat. When they put out the thing out, me and my friend who I saw it with, we both looked at each other like that's gonna be a Dark Knight Rises fucking ejector seat. That is.
And yes, it is. That's my thought too.
But it turns out technically no, that is the button for the bomb. But in a scene that is not shown during the previous moment, the mechanic just goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, press the button, eject the seat." And so part of me was hoping it would have been a twist where he didn't know it was an ejector seat, but he got to live that way. That's what I thought was going to be happening.
Well, what they did is they showed how to prep the bomb, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, one more thing," and they pull back so you don't actually hear him say anything until they have a flashback to it during the moment. And I think it's much more important rather than "No, you must live."
Yeah.
It's Koichi deciding to live.
Yeah,
and that's more impactful of this because now he has a death wish.
And those movies suck.
Yeah.
and even in that flashback, Tachibana the mechanic, he's telling him, "You better fucking live after this."
Yeah, you let it go.
I'm gonna beat your ass one more time.
Live, but you actually make me care about you. So you know what? Live.
Well, Chara Queen, thank you. I'm going to sit up straight. Posture check. I do slouch too much. Thank you for that. Yeah.
I also love the effects of how messed up Godzilla was when he gets pulled back to the surface.
Yeah.
He is messed up.
There's a great thing where both when he uses it in the city and at that point, it's moments where like after he uses his atomic breath, it flashes back to his face and like there's like sparks. Like it clearly, if not hurts him, damages him to use the atomic breath, which I think is such a cool fucking like thing, you know? Because normally it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna. It reminds me of that line in the first X-Men movie, like, does it hurt when the claws come out? Every time. That's why I do it all the time for no fucking reason, because it looks cool. But I mean, and then after that point, Godzilla, it is basically his head blows up because of the bomb.
Yeah.
Everyone comes back alive. They all high five and hug, and then there was a moment earlier where the neighbor wakes up, sees the girl, the baby girl, the one I would have laughed at earlier. Basically come up to her with a note, and so she realizes what's going to happen. But then she gets a telegraph from somebody. It's like, oh my god! After everyone comes off the boat successful. She appears, gives the guy the note, and in my head, I was just like, "You've won me over, -1." In a lesser film, I would dock you points for what is about to happen. But you
see when I saw the letter arrive, it did not click with me what that was going to be.
I was instantly, I was like, oh, the Wizard of Oz girl from earlier who got blown away. She's alive somehow. She's been alive for like weeks, I guess. But you know this, I only say that because, and again, this isn't an issue with the movie because the movie and its marketing are two different things. But the marketing for -1, I think, led, and this is not something I'm going to knock points from the movie for. But I think the marketing leads you to believe -1 is going to be a much darker movie than it is, in terms of its tone. You know, which again,
it's definitely more serious.
Yeah,
in its
the movie itself.
The trailer.
There are lots of scenes of levity and humor, which just based off the trailer, I did not expect to have. And again, the fact that, again, as Derek said, nobody dies in the final confrontation. The fact that she's alive at the end. Again, if I wasn't as invested in this movie, and if I wasn't as entertained, I might be like, that's kind of a bullshit Hollywood ending. But I'll let it slide because this movie is that good.
Yeah. Well, it's also sort of like the reward for him deciding to live. Not that she's a prize or anything like that, but just like the happiness that you wanted, that you were willing to die for. Now, here it is.
I get that. Again, I would have. If she would have stayed dead, you could argue the life he's going to get now with his daughter could also work. That is very true. That is very true. But I think the other thing that I thought of when I saw it was like, oh, it did say like 20,000 dead and injured. So I was like, she's injured instead. 20,000 dead and one female injured. One survived.
She wasn't in the like blast. She just got sucked away. So, you know, I've seen people survive insane car crashes where
she's
they
wet and smells like train. I wonder who that could be.
Like he became a statistic at the end of it.
But apparently there was, again, going back to that video I watched, apparently there is a moment where because he goes back and they basically admits that, you know, now I'm ready, like, because there was a, what was the phrase she kept saying? It was like, do your dreams still haunt you? Or something.
Oh, yeah.
Is your war finally?
Is your war? Yes. At that
it.
moment, she asks him that, and he just kind of like breaks down and like nods, and they hug. And apparently, I want to go and see it again to confirm. Apparently, there is some like black mass on her back.
Yep.
I'm not sure what that is,
but apparently, like that like is moving and shit. And because the movie cuts from that to Godzilla's corpse in the ocean start to regenerate. A lot of people are saying because she was like directly hit by his radioactive blast that like possible, again, this is speculation because I didn't even see that on the back of her. Some people are suggesting that maybe a part of Godzilla is now in her. Yeah. I hope not, because that sounds like If that is the case of it, that sounds like something the MonsterVerse would do, and I love the MonsterVerse, but they're different. Like I don't want wacky sci-fi in like -1 continuity. I want that to be as serious as possible.
Obviously, this is fans writing this, but one of the early things I saw written in the Wikipedia, and it's since been changed, is like somebody's like, "Oh, that's radiation poisoning," and that's actually been changed now. Now it's a black stain creeping into her skin. So
radiation poisoning would make sense if there is just a symptom that says that she's alive, but she probably won't be around too long because of that. Like, I'll accept that. That's
Well, I'm leaning towards radiation poisoning.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll be a freaking Advent Children sort of situation where everybody's around infected by the Godzilla disease, and they have to fully take him out in order to get rid of it. I don't know.
Godzilla comes out with his tail on Koichi's arm. So nice to see you again.
What if
kamikaze?
What if because this Godzilla's design, I think you can clearly see a Heisei influence in its design. What if they're gonna just pull a Mickey, and she's gonna use that piece to be able to, telepathically link with Godzilla, and we're gonna get a Heisei storyline again.
Oh, where she controls Godzilla.
We are not going full Heisei route.
I love Heisei. It's my favorite era. I want that so bad.
Don't get me wrong. I love the Heisei era. I don't want to go that far with Minus One.
So I gotta say, if we get a sequel to Minus One, I don't want these characters back. I want their story happy and done.
That's part of the reason why I like the MonsterVerse. Pretty much there's some characters reappear in other movies, but pretty much each movie has a different main protagonist, and we follow them. And because it's like I don't have a problem with like reoccurring characters, but it's like the same person is interacting and defeating Godzilla in every single movie. It's just like it's like a more comical version of Tom and Jerry at that point, and I don't want that to be Godzilla.
Koichi's story with Godzilla is done. Let somebody else take that one. So
his war's over, and he comes back and it's like, oh shit, Godzilla's back. It's like, sorry, bro, my war's over. I ain't doing shit.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, we go Rambo 2 with this, where he's just all like gung ho and like with his girlfriend, and like, all right, we're gonna control this so we can take out whoever the new monster.
Survive a war. You gotta become war.
My war 2. Here we go, baby.
I hope if we do get a sequel to this, that it is still in line with the vibe of this one.
There was a interview with the actress for, I forget the main. What was the? I'm terrible with names.
Oh,
Noriko. There was an interview, I believe, with her actress where she's she was like, I guess Toho are considering doing a sequel to this. They did mention before anything about Minus One was revealed that they were working on like a shared world, which a lot of people they're just copping in the MCU. It's like, motherfucker, Toho were doing this shit in the 70s, like
exactly.
Like Rodan, Mothra, they had their own movie,
and that's just off of the Universal monsters that interacted with each other all the time. This shit's been going on forever.
Exactly. But
we can even go. We can even go further. War of the Gargantuans. Fucking Kong escapes. Like
King Kong King Kong got a mechanical rival before Godzilla did. Mechani-Kong was before Mecha Godzilla. So there you go.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
No fucking way. Hold on.
King Kong escapes. Mechani-Kong came out was a thing before Mecha Godzilla.
Hold on. No fucking way.
Did not know that.
What the fuck? 1966?
Yeah, man.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, because at that point, King Kong was it was owned by Universal, so Toho had to license King Kong for that movie. But then they paid the rights for 3 movies, I guess, because then they had that, and I think. Or did they just do King Kong Escapes? They definitely did at least one movie. I forget if they did 2 or not.
I think they only did King Kong Escapes.
And they had Mechani-Kong. It's a dumber name than Mechagodzilla, but he was there first.
I like Mechagodzilla a lot more than Mechani-Kong in terms of names. Thank you.
Mechani-Kong.
What if he's the bad guy in Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire?
Oh my gosh!
What if Scar King turns out to be Mechani-Kong?
There's that thing where there's a scene where Kong has the Infinity Gauntlet. What if Kong becomes Mechani-Kong? He just becomes more metallic as the movie goes on.
There we go. Gets full on armor or some crap like that.
I was leaning towards the recent like transformation toys that they released for Godzilla versus Kong. I was leaning towards that.
Those, from what I can remember, those, I believe they came from an earlier version of the script that involved I want to say there was an early version of the script where Godzilla was basically given power armor in the movie, and I thought that's stuff I read years ago on like different threads that had like claimed to see like an earlier version of the movie and all that stuff. So who knows if that's true? But yeah, because I think, what is it? Whoever has the rights to Bandai, I think have the rights to the MonsterVerse toys, and I think they is it Bandai?
Playmates.
Yeah, so they just it's like powered up. Like he was called Mega Godzilla in like the toys and in that script, and it's like, nah, we can't have Mega Godzilla and Mecha Godzilla. That's just too fucking dumb. We'll have Mechanic Kong instead next time. But I mean, it's just like after that movie, after it ended, I was just like, it's to go off something Derek said earlier. This is not just one of the best Godzilla movies. It's just one of the best movies I have seen.
I've not seen a lot of movies this year, but my God, it's one of those things where I just, even days after, like I'm still thinking about certain scenes and thinking about some of the stuff I've mentioned before. It's like, holy shit, that script was really good. Yeah. And just, again, the scene where it seems like Noriko died, and then the scene where he leaves the girl and like the reunition, like, God damn, this movie like really clicks with you and you brings the tears.
I think the reason why it worked is again something Derek said earlier is you could remove Godzilla and replace him with like either another generic monster or just like the notion of war or maybe natural disaster.
Yeah.
And the movie still, like, I would still be even as a Godzilla fan, I would still be saying this movie's fucking amazing, even without Godzilla. And there's very, very few Godzilla movies you can say that about. You know, if you were to remove him, I'd still be invested in this movie. That's just how good I think Minus One is. Like, the script is so fucking good. This is like, there's so many people I've seen online. It's been like, well, never expected a fucking Godzilla movie to make me cry, but here we are. You know, like,
yeah.
See, those aren't real Godzilla fans. You're a real Godzilla fan if you cry during the ending of Son of Godzilla.
Yeah.
I should know. I'm one of them.
I cried. So I cried as a boy when I was the son, and now I cry as a parent watching Godzilla hold Minya as the snow comes down. Like,
yeah.
I told you guys this before we went on stream, but yeah, this was my first full Japanese Godzilla film that I've ever watched. I seen a bunch of American ones, but I seen clips from a bunch of Japanese ones. The obvious clips that everybody always shows the old Godzilla ones.
Like, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but this is my first full Japanese one. It's like, well, shit, they're never going to match up, are they? Not in the same way.
Well, it's like on Rotten Tomatoes, which isn't the be all end all, but on Rotten Tomatoes, this is now the highest ranked Godzilla movie. Yep. Second is the original. I think this is like, Minus One is at like 97%, like certified fresh. The original is like 94% certified fresh. Shin is number 3 at like 86 certified fresh, which means nothing because even though it only has 6 reviews, Godzilla vs. Destroyer is 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, so they all suck compared to Destroyer. But it's just like, it's the fact that it's been doing so well, the fact that Toho have extended it. For one, I think the fact that it's an important thing that like Toho distributed this themselves. Yeah. With Shin, it was released by Funimation. Because that's a good idea. I'm just saying, like I have nothing against Funimation. Like I've watched a lot of their dubs. Obviously they have talented people who work for them. The English dub of Shin Godzilla is a fucking atrocity. It is so bad. It's to me it's just like, and maybe if I watched more anime I wouldn't feel this way, but to me it felt like everyone, even the serious, because there are goofy characters in Shin, but for me it felt like everyone, even the serious characters, had like goofy voice acting, and I'm like, come on,
they didn't get the note about what kind of movie it was. They were just like, it's Godzilla, we got to overact.
That's also I'm going to go on a quick tangent. This annoyed me. The Blu-ray, the Toho Blu-ray release of Shin Godzilla has like commentary and deleted scenes and like footage of like the making of the movie. The English version has like four guys who work at Funimation talk about Godzilla randomly for like 20 minutes. Like, get the fuck out of here! Like, no,
That's unfortunate.
it is pretty bad. Aside from that, if you're gonna watch Shin, watch it subtitled. Although make sure the subtitles are good because there's a lot of like Japanese text showing who people are and like where you are. So you want to make sure the subtitling is good, so all of that is also subtitled. Otherwise, you will not know what's going on. So you do need a good subtitle for Shin. But
fortunately, the subtitles in this are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
But again, the fact that they must have felt that they had a winner here because again, Toho put the money to distribute it themselves, put it in IMAX, to order that themselves. I want to say they've just had the Japanese equivalent of the Oscars, where I want to say the director won for best director at it.
Damn.
Which
yes, it is in the Wikipedia here.
And because I want to say it was nominated for a bunch of awards, and once because again it's like obviously Japan takes these movies more seriously than some people over here do because Shin Godzilla won best movie at the Japanese Oscars the year it came out. So like these movies are kind of a bit more respected.
Takashi Yamazaki won for best director for the 48th Hochi Film Award.
Yes, and it was also nominated for best picture and best actor, best leading actor, and best supporting actress. It's also up at the Nikon Sports Film Awards. It looks like the just movie in general is not up for a movie and best supporting actress, but that has not been announced yet. But still, just the fact that it's a fucking good movie.
Yeah. It looks like the big winner for that the film festival was a movie called Moon and Month. Actually,
my retort is kiss my ass.
But it also won like the best actor categories.
I mean, obviously, like we haven't seen it. No shade to them, but like still, obviously, as a fan, we want Godzilla to win the awards. But like still, winning best director, like that's. I always think it's weird though with these movies how like best director for a movie will not win the best movie award. Surely, how are you the best director this year, but your movie doesn't win? Like, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But
here's also the other thing: the movie was made on a $15 million budget, and it has made double its money back. So right now at the box office, it's been calculated at $39 million.
Yep. And again, it's still going to be here for another week. It hasn't opened yet in, like, I want to say it doesn't open in England until the 15th of December. So, like, it's because I believe Toho, I think for some other countries, Toho is licensing it out instead of like doing it directly, which kind of makes sense because if you're gonna have another company have to dub it into like different languages, you may as well have them release it, kind of thing. But man, I would not be surprised though because of I mean, Shin Godzilla was a success. It was very well respected critically. It did pretty well. I mean, it had a very limited release as well.
Yeah.
But like, and when Shin came out, it wasn't like Minus One is just being released to cinemas everywhere. I think Shin was just in like it was like a Fathom events type thing. Only certain cinemas would be playing it type of thing. So for its release, it did well, but it was nothing compared to this. So again, I would not be surprised if we get a Minus One sequel announced in the next 6 months or so.
Yeah.
It makes sense. And I mean, it's in terms of it's not even the most expensive Japanese film ever made. It's up there, but it's not the most expensive.
But again, I saw a lot of people. It's like I've seen a lot of people try to use this budget to like clown on American-made films, which yes, like American-made films, they're like there's clearly, this may be an ignorant comment, and I understand that obviously we want everyone in special effects to get paid a living wage, absolutely no question on that. Everyone should unionize and get a bit more money. I get that, but like for what is ostensibly just people sitting down at computers. Part of me is like, why are special? You would think, to me, I was literally thinking this last night. If you were to ask me, what do you think cost more? People sitting down at computers doing CG effects, or like people making like animatronics? I would think animatronics would be way more like expensive than CG. But like she's like,
you think
in that regard, I'm like, I don't like what's going on there.
Well, here's the reason that the American films kind of balloon. I've heard is that if you bring this type of production to the States, then that cost definitely would balloon, because all of a sudden you have the actors who get paid more, the people who are doing the tech effects who get paid a lot more. Just in general, you get paid a lot more in film across the board for Hollywood films. Japanese films, they don't get paid quite as much. And well, you can just look at the anime industry and how much they overwork those poor bastards to get in certain studios.
I want to say I was watching something like yesterday where apparently like it's like working at like Studio Ghibli, very coveted position. That's a highly respected company for good reason. And apparently they're like average salary cost is like equivalent to like $40,000 a year, which depending on where you live could be livable, but it's not exactly a lot of money. And I think it's just in Japan, that's just so if you get like a job at like a special effects studio, you're probably not going to get paid the best, but it sounds like at least you have an actual job and not like the temp roles they bring on for everything. Basically, I'm just saying that I just want everything to be made with puppets again. Fuck CG.
Men in Suits, where is it?
Yes. Gareth was too freaked out by the eyes. He needs to get Men in Suits again.
Seriously, when Godzilla moved, I was like this. I was like, nope, I don't like that. It's too realistic. Get it off the screen.
Like, Men in Suits and the one woman who is Baragon for GMK. She is a precious gift.
Protect her and her role at all costs.
Yes. Like, she is a precious gift to this world and monster movies. Bring her back.
Oh God.
But so like, I think all of us, all three of us, just like go see this movie again. It's going to be in cinemas for a bit longer. If
we just spoiled the shit out of it for you, but trust me, it's still worth seeing.
Like and even though like the story is what's, because if say all the Godzilla stuff was exactly the same, but the human stuff was just boring. It was like written like fucking. Like, I don't know, Godzilla versus Gigan. We'd be like, I don't give a shit. Like, Godzilla's cool, but like the movie's a bit like, eh. It's everything nothing we've said, I think, even if you know the story, I think just the way it's directed and acted, it'll still blow you away. It's such a well-made movie, and I cannot wait to buy this on physical media, because fuck streaming services.
Yeah.
Because I have pretty much all the Godzilla movies on Blu-ray currently. Like I got I was able to get the Criterion.
I had that,
Showa collection thanks to Sabrina. I managed to get all of the Toho released collections on Blu-ray. They still didn't release 1984.
Well, Biollante is Biollante on Blu-ray?
Oh, it is just expensive. I got it for $15 before that happened.
Well, apparently, Criterion's parent company, Janos, has acquired the rights to the Heisei and Millennium series, and so although it's like when it'll probably be a few years, because they acquired the rights to Showa like 2 years before that box set came out, and a lot of people are speculating because there's roughly the same amount of movies in Heisei and Millennium combined as there is in Showa. Just do another box set for those two, but just put a bit more effort into the best special. Like I like that box set. It is like, you look at like what Arrow did with their Gamera releases, and those things are packed with like commentaries behind the scenes, like deleted scenes. It's like they didn't. Like Criterion, because before they did the Showa era as a whole, they did the original because it's a classic, and that's a pretty decent set of like stuff. They didn't really do anything else for the series at large, and I kind of feel like for Heisei and Millennium, put more effort into that stuff, because the Toho sets are loaded with stuff. So like just fucking license out that stuff, you cheap bastards.
Because like with the Toho releases that they had on Blu-ray, you got like, aside from 84 and Biollante, you're able to get the entire Heisei series and Millennium series.
Yep, I had them all on DVD. I got it's called like the Godzilla collection, and it has
the boxes, right?
Yeah, and it has like all of Heisei and Millennium with no 84 Biollante, and it has the Rebirth of Mothra trilogy, which I have not watched yet, but a version of King Ghidorah is the villain in Rebirth of Mothra 3, and that's going to be a pretty good one. So yeah,
I think that one is Des Ghidorah. I think his name is.
Yeah, he has some weird name.
Well, there's a whole lineage of Ghidorah, and it's like the Mothra movies go into that.
But does she fuck Godzilla in those movies? Like he does in the Monsterverse.
Godzilla's not. I don't even think he's mentioned in those movies. Like, let me see actually, because now I'm kind of curious. I want to see if I can find 84 on Blu-ray because I'm just missing that, and then I got all the movies.
Yeah, Toho's been on a roll lately with their newer films though, so I wonder if they're going to go 3 for 3 after Shin and Minus.
Well, if we don't include the anime trilogy, which was terrible.
I mean, we don't talk about those.
We don't talk about the anime trilogy. No, we don't.
I don't consider those. That's a spin-off to me.
A really bad one. But apparently the director of those just did the Gamera anime for Netflix, which I haven't seen it, but I've heard nothing but good things. So it's not from his if you can because obviously in when you work at a movie studio, the one thing you never do, which some American people might do, is you never talk shit about your company. So if you read between the lines from what certain things he said, it's clear that it was like Toho mandated weird things for this anime trilogy. And so he wasn't able to do what he kind of really wanted to do. So I don't blame him for how that turned out. But just Toho were let's do something weird, and then they went too weird with it, where it's just why you made a fucking Mechagodzilla city, but we never see Mechagodzilla.
Nope. Although we have actual concepts turned into figures.
Yeah, they released the film, put him in the fucking movie then. If you have a figure of him, what the fuck?
Put in the fucking movie, you dickhead. Okay, so goodness. I found Godzilla 1984 on Blu-ray from Kraken is what it was from.
Okay, how much?
$90.
Oof.
Biollante? I actually looked this up recently. Let's see. Here's one right here. It's from 2012. Yeah, and there's 14 people watching it. 245.
Oof. I will say Biollante is in my top 5 Godzilla movies. It is a shame that one is so hard to find because it is so good.
And again, I bought it for $15 when that came up. I got lucky.
I wish I could go back in time and mug Elliot as he buys it, and then I could have it for free.
I was in college.
But again, so it's. And any last words? Because again, I think I can't express enough how much I love this movie.
My final words. I said this on Twitter, but I'll repeat it here. So when I got back, because I don't get to go to the movies too often, so Amy's like, "Hey, how'd you enjoy the movie?" And because she's not really been that interested in monster movies or anything like that or anything Godzilla related, but I told her gave her a rundown of the plot because of that. And she was actually invested. She was like, I might watch it. I got a maybe off of her that she'd actually watch it. And I think most people, even if they're not Godzilla fans, I think would still enjoy this one. I think that's probably the highest praise you can give it, is that could get non-fans to check it out and actively enjoy it. And not just for ironic reasons of look at the shitty effects. It's cheesy, but hey, it's fun.
So, but before we get to it, so my girlfriend who said she had no interest in watching Shin wants to watch Minus One when it comes to streaming. She's not quite enough to go to the cinema, but she's at least willing to sit down and watch it with me because it just it's so fucking good. But yeah,
she can tap out if she doesn't get interested.
I can just fast forward to when he's back on screen when we watch it at home. When Godzilla's not on screen, everyone should be asking, "Where's Godzilla?"
That's kind of the MonsterVerse movies.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, like
this one, I actually feel like you'd be missing something if it didn't have the human stuff.
Yeah, you'd be missing a huge like spirit of this movie if you took out the humans.
Mm-hmm.
And like for just go see this fucking movie. Just see this movie.
Put that on a poster. Just
so
go
good.
see this fucking movie, Elliot.
Yeah, that's literally it. Like, if you haven't seen it yet, go see it. It's so fucking good.
Yep.
Hear what he said. So I want to thank everyone for watching us. I want to thank obviously Derrick and Elliot for joining me. Derrick, where can people find you, Mr. Not Game Explain?
You can find me mainly over at Good Vibes Gaming. I've been joined by these two in the past for my NSO Game Club series, where we randomly pick a game off the Game Club and talk about it for a week. And Elliot got Shadow of the Ninja, and Gareth got Kirby's Dream Land 2. So I think
the clear winner in that. The clear winner.
So I drew the short straw. Okay.
True, but you've not been treated as poorly as your uncle.
Yeah, you know what?
Oh,
yeah.
what did Greg get?
He's the one that got Bamboozle, the worst game I've played so far on the NSO.
I don't even know what the hell that is. I don't think I've even come across that
Good.
game on NSO.
Yeah, you have access to it. You could check it out. It's shit.
What platform is it on?
SNES.
I will play it tonight when we finish doing this.
Oh
You can
god.
play it for 5 minutes and be like, "Fuck this."
If you see,
Otherwise-
if you see me just tweet the words "fuck this," that's going to be in reference to that. Later tonight.
There you go. Perfect. I see Mito in here who joins my streams quite often as well. But yeah, I also stream on Twitch over at just Bit Nerd Games, where I currently playing through Nier Automata, Final Fantasy 14 Shadowbringers, and Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls.
All at the same time. He's very, very talented.
Yeah, well,
Each one's in head.
my whole gimmick is you earn enough channel points, you get to request me to play a game. My list of games to play from people are ridiculously long, but I will get to them eventually.
And Elliot Goodser, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter over at Creepy Elliot, but on Twitch you can find me at the Haunted Arcade. That is the _Haunted Arcade, because the entire word without the underscore got taken. But yeah, I over on there I currently play Dead by Daylight on days where I feel like it, and I am currently playing through Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge, because Christmas.
You've been threatening to play that on SGB for years.
I know, and now I'm doing it on stream.
I had that. I never made it past the opening boss fight because I was just like, "No, I'm good, mate." I don't know. Like it looks so cool, and I'm like, it's a fucking DDR
it's
boss
Devil
fight.
May Cry.
I'm like,
it's Devil May Cry. Then when you get to the boss fight, it's rhythm based.
That's but it opens with you fighting Oogie Boogie again, and I did not jive well with that boss fight. I was like, I don't know. Like they're just singing like a fan cover of what song is it? Look, it feels like it because what song is it? They're singing along to one of to Oogie Boogie song, isn't it? When Jack's and this is like, I don't know.
You sir don't have taste.
It's clearly not Danny Elfman singing, which means it's clearly not Danny Elfman writing the songs. So I'm like, nah, I'm alright, buddy.
No, funny enough, it is actually Chris Sarandon who voices
Jack
Skellington in the movie doing the singing. Who was also in the first Child's Play movie, in the first movie with Chucky.
Oh, who's you playing that?
You know the detective in that movie? That's him.
That's him? Fuck. That's like Charles Fleischer. Roger Rabbit is the doctor in A Nightmare on Elm Street that Nancy goes to. I like the sleep clinic. Yeah.
Oh wow.
That man's fucking